morning arrived under a blanket of heavy ash-grey clouds. Jungkook stood in front of the hallway mirror at home, carefully adjusting his dark scarf to cover the light purple bruising lingering on his neck from Leon's rough grip the day before. He took a deep, steadying breath. One step at a time, he reminded himself, just make it through today. Jungkooka, you forgot your lunch. Taehyung walked out from the kitchen, holding a warm, neatly packed, insulated lunchbox. He was dressed in a crisp black button-down shirt that hugged his broad shoulders, his dark hair styled back, giving him an air of quiet authority. But as he looked at Jungkook, his sharp gaze instantly melted into pure softness. Taehyung stepped closer, handing over the lunchbox and resting a hand on Jungkook's cheek. His thumb stroked the smooth skin gently. Make sure you eat every bite today, okay? You've been looking a bit pale lately, Taehyung said, his voice a low, soothing hum. Jungkook smiled, nodding eagerly. He picked up his small white whiteboard from the entryway table and scribbled, I will. Thank you, Tae. Have a good day at work. Taehyung's eyes lingered on Jungkook's face for a long, heavy moment. His eyes briefly flicked down to the heavy scarf wrapped high up on Jungkook's neck, an unusual accessory given that the autumn morning was only mildly chilly. But Taehyung didn't push. Instead, he leaned down and pressed a soft, lingering kiss against Jungkook's forehead. I love you, Taehyung murmured against his skin. Remember that no matter what happens, I'm always looking out for you. Jungkook's heart swelled with warmth. He nodded, gave a quick wave, and stepped out into the morning chill. If only he knew how true those words really were. The rumors had spread through St. Jude College like wildfire long before the morning sun even touched the glass towers of the campus. By 8 in the morning, every hallway was buzzing. A new student had transferred into the business management department, a guy from an impossibly wealthy, influential family that held quiet power over half the city's commercial empire. No one knew his full background, only that his family's wealth was vast enough to buy the entire university 10 times over if they felt like it. Chloe stood near the center aisle of the main lecture hall, surrounded by her usual group of friends. She adjusted her designer blazer, checking her reflection in her phone screen while applying a fresh coat of lip gloss. I heard his name is Kim Taehyung, Chloe said, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. My father said his family handles high-end shipping and international logistics. If he's sitting anywhere near this room, he's sitting next to me. Good luck, Marcus chuckled, leaning against a desk nearby. Guys like that don't usually care about college drama. Watch me, Chloe smirked, pulling out the chair right beside her own polished desk and setting her expensive handbag on it to reserve the spot. When he walked into the classroom, the usual cruel giggles erupted. Hey, look, the mute's back, Marcus called out, leaning back in his seat with his hands behind his head. Did you manage to scrub the floor properly yesterday, bad luck? Or do we need to call the janitor to teach you how to use a mop? Chloe laughed loudly from the middle row, her eyes glittering with disdain. Don't bother Marcus. He probably can't even read the instructions on the soap bottle. Jungkook ignored them, slipping quietly into his usual desk at the absolute back corner of the room, right by the window. He set his bag down, pulled out his worn notebook, and stared fixedly at the blank page, counting down the minutes until the lecture began. Suddenly, the door swung open. The entire classroom fell dead silent. A tall man walked into the room. He wore a tailored dark charcoal suit that screamed effortless luxury, paired with a silver signet ring on his right hand. His side-parted dark hair exposed a striking, sculpted forehead, and his sharp, piercing brown eyes swept over the room with cold, unbothered detachment. It was Taehyung. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. His eyes widened in utter shock as he froze in his seat, his hand gripping his pen so tightly his knuckles turned white. Taehyung? What is he doing here? The class held its collective breath. Whispers exploded across the rows instantly. Oh my God, is that him? He looks like a movie star. Is he really a new student? Chloe's eyes lit up instantly. She quickly smoothed down her designer skirt, adjusted her hair, and pulled out the empty chair right next to her in the front row. She flashed her most dazzling, captivating smile as Taehyung began walking down the aisle. Hi, Chloe purred softly, waving her hand to catch his attention. You must be the new transfer student. There's an empty seat right here next to me if you want to sit. Taehyung didn't even turn his head. He walked right past her as if she were made of thin air, completely ignoring her outstretched hand and flirty smile. Chloe's smile froze, her cheeks flushing bright red as a few muffled snickers broke out among the other students. Without pausing for a single second, Taehyung walked straight to the very back of the classroom. He stopped right beside the isolated desk in the corner, right beside Jungkook.
Jungkook stared up at him, his heart hammering wildly against his ribs, his dark eyes wide with confusion and panic. Taehyung's cold, aloof expression shattered the moment his eyes landed on Jungkook. A soft, devastatingly handsome smile spread across his lips. Without asking for permission, Taehyung pulled back the empty chair beside Jungkook, the seat no one had dared touch for months, and sat down. Hi, Taehyung said in a soft, smooth voice, intended only for Jungkook's ears. Jungkook frantically reached for his notebook, scribbling at light speed. What are you doing here? He held the paper up, his eyes practically begging for an explanation. Taehyung let out a quiet, velvety chuckle, leaning close enough that his warm breath brushed against Jungkook's ear. I told you I'm always looking out for you, sweetheart. Besides, I decided I wanted to further my education. Before Jungkook could process the surreal moment, Professor Miller marched into the room, holding a stack of syllabus papers. He stopped near the podium and adjusted his glasses, scanning the room until his eyes landed on the back corner. Mr. Miller frowned, visibly annoyed. Excuse me, young man, Mr. Miller barked, pointing a finger at Taehyung. You must be the new transfer student, Kim Taehyung. Why are you sitting all the way back there next to him? There are plenty of available seats in the front rows with proper students. The entire room turned around to stare at the back row, eager to see the new, wealthy transfer student put the bad luck charm in his place. Taehyung didn't flinch. He leaned back comfortably in his chair, resting his arm casually over the back of Jungkook's seat in a clear, possessive gesture. He turned a cold, deadly gaze toward Professor Miller. I am sitting here because I choose to sit here, Taehyung replied, his voice calm, deep, and laced with an icy edge that made the air in the room drop several degrees. Is there a rule in your syllabus that dictates where I am allowed to sit, Professor? Mr. Miller blinked, taken aback by the sheer authority radiating from the young man. He opened his mouth to argue, but the intense, unyielding stare in Taehyung's eyes stopped the words cold in his throat. No, Mr. Miller stammered, clearing his throat awkwardly to cover his embarrassment. No rule, just a recommendation. Then save your recommendations for your lecture, Taehyung said bluntly, turning his attention entirely back to Jungkook, dismissing the professor as if he were nothing more than background noise. The entire classroom went dead quiet. Marcus stared at Taehyung in shock, and Chloe looked mortified. No one had ever spoken to Professor Miller like that before, and certainly no one had ever willingly chosen to sit next to John Jungkook. Beside him, Jungkook was staring at his desk, his heart hammering against his ribs. He felt the heat radiating from the broad shoulder next to him. Jungkook's hands trembled in his lap. He didn't dare look up, terrified that if he met Taehyung's eyes right now in front of everyone, his composure would crumble completely. Under the desk, hidden from the view of the teacher and the rest of the class, a warm, broad hand slid across the gap and gently wrapped around Jungkook's cold, trembling fingers. Taehyung squeezed his hand firmly, stroking his thumb over Jungkook's knuckles in a calm, rhythmic motion. I'm here, the unspoken touch said. You are safe now. When the period finally ended, students rushed out, eager to talk about the dramatic encounter. Chloe attempted to walk over to Taehyung's desk, but Marcus grabbed her arm, dragging her away in a fit of jealous anger. Once the room cleared, Taehyung stood up quietly, stepped out for a few minutes, and returned holding a warm, fresh lunchbox. He set it down directly on Jungkook's desk. "Eat all of it," Taehyung said softly, his voice dropping into the tender tone he only ever used at home. "Every single bite." Jungkook looked at the food, then up at Taehyung, his eyes brimming with unspoken questions and deep gratitude. As a group of students walked past the hallway window, Taehyung leaned down subtly, placing a gentle, fleeting kiss on Jungkook's forehead. "Eat well, my bun," Taehyung whispered with a soft smile before casually strolling out, leaving Jungkook blushing furiously, a sweet, rare smile gracing his lips as he began to eat. As he walked down the hallway later that afternoon, Chloe tried to block Taehyung's path, her eyes gleaming with desperation and annoyance. "Taehyung," she said, putting on a pout, "why are you hanging around that useless mute? He can't even talk to you. I could show you around the city, introduce you to the real social circle here." Taehyung stopped. He turned his head slowly toward her, his expression instantly transforming into a glare so dark and lethal that Chloe swallowed her words mid-sentence. "If you ever stand in my way again, or speak about him with that mouth," Taehyung said softly, his tone terrifyingly quiet, "I will ensure your family loses everything they own before the sun sets. Move." Chloe turned pale, stepping back in shock. The next 4 days at St. Jude College were unnervingly quiet. Word of what had happened in the lecture hall had spread like wildfire. No one dared to laugh at Jungkook when he walked down the corridors, nor did anyone toss crumpled paper at his head during lectures. Taehyung was always there, a towering, silent shadow glued to Jungkook's side. He sat beside him in every class, carried his heavy textbooks, and sat across from him during lunch, quietly watching him eat every single bite. For the first time in over a year, Jungkook felt a strange, fragile sense of peace. Yet beneath that peace lay a growing mountain of confusion. Taehyung acted so natural, so warm, as if they were back in their own quiet apartment. But here, surrounded by the cold stone arches of the university, Taehyung was different. He moved with a dangerous, unspoken authority that intimidated even the professors. On Friday afternoon, the final class was dismissed early. Taehyung's phone buzzed repeatedly in his pocket. He glanced down at the screen, a subtle scowl tightening his sharp jawline. "I need to take a call regarding a shipment at the docks," Taehyung murmured, leaning close to Jungkook's ear as they stepped out into the hallway. His warm breath brushed against Jungkook's skin, making his heart flutter. "Wait for me in the library, all right? Do not leave the building alone." Jungkook gave a quick, obedient nod. He held up his hand, quickly signing, "I'll wait for you." Taehyung's dark eyes softened. He squeezed Jungkook's fingers tightly before turning on his heel and walking down the main administrative stairwell, his phone already pressed to his ear. Jungkook watched him disappear down the corridor before turning toward the eastern wing of the building, where the university library was located. The eastern corridor was ancient, lined with long unused faculty offices and heavy wooden doors. Because it was late Friday afternoon, the hallway was completely empty, echoing only with the soft tap of Jungkook's sneakers against the marble floor. Suddenly, a heavy hand shot out from a darkened doorway. Before Jungkook could even react or make a sound, he was violently yanked sideways into an empty, dimly lit storage room.
The heavy oak door slammed shut behind him, the metallic click of a deadbolt sliding into place echoing like a gunshot.